everyone. Melissa here with the Sunshine Planner, and today we are going to be doing our very first meal planning video where I will be showing you my tips and tricks of how to make this process easy, somewhat fun, and a little therapeutic, I think. It's a choice, I know, but that's what I'm going to show you today on how I make that happen. And also, I'll show you a couple of ways to save money on your budget for groceries and how to use what's in your pantry and freezer. So let's head over to my table and let's get started. So here we are getting started on meal planning, and I think most people think that meal planning is maybe a tedious job. Why do I need it? Any of those reasons and more people will come up with as to why it's really not necessary to do meal planning. But in my case, I choose it to serve a few purposes. One, I want to save money wherever I can. I want to spend the least amount of money in groceries in my grocery budget. And I really, if those of you that know me know that I'm a list maker. I'm a chronic list maker. I got lists everywhere. And so this kind of falls right in line with a list maker person, type A maybe person. But the third reason is I'm kind of an artsy kind of person. I'm not an artistic drawer or anything like that, but artsy meaning I like to do, I've got a creative mind. And so I choose to take this task and make it relaxing and fun for me. It's very therapeutic for me, and it really doesn't take long at all to do. So let me show you some of the strategies I use, some of the things, some books that I use. As you can see, I have some markers here. That's part of my therapeutic process. I could just use an ink pen, and that would serve the same purpose. But for me, I choose to make this kind of a fun thing, and to do that, I add color to it. So first, I want to show you, this is my recipe box right here. And so I always have that in front of me. And my recipe box, I have chosen to actually categorize, organize, or my recipe box is very organized. The back of it is kind of messy, and that's some miscellaneous recipes that I'm not sure yet what I want to do with, but for the most part, I have appetizers in yellow, and I have breads and rolls in green. They're handwritten out. I'm very traditional that way. I know I do have a binder of things I've printed off, but I'm very traditional. My family's from the South. There's recipe cards everywhere. I have some of my grandma's, some of my mom's, and I'm hoping to pass those down someday. I've also copied this entire recipe box, handwritten, for my daughter, Brittany, that cooks. She's an avid cook as well. She's more of a gourmet cook, but she has these recipes handwritten by me, a copy of course, since then I've added to it. But anyway, so I use my recipe box. We eat a lot of fish. I've picked up this fantastic cookbook. I picked it up this year in Florida, St. Augustine, Florida. It was in their fish shop, and you can get this off of Amazon actually, and I'll post the link. But it has a lot of fantastic, not a lot of pictures, I will say. In fact, there's probably not really any pictures, but I don't think you need them. The description and the ingredients really just kind of make your mouth water. You don't need pictures, but typically I love pictures in my cookbooks. But that's a big one that I use. Another one that I like to use is Skinny Taste. That's one of my favorite books to pull from. Another book that I use is called Magnolia Table. Joanna Gaines is one of my favorite persons to follow. She has some great recipes in here. I've tried one in here, the Italian stack, that is, oh my gosh, it was out of this world tasty good. So, but one of the things that I like about this book is that she has herb pairings. So on this page, it will tell you what herbs cook well together. So for example, dill and chives, or parsley, rosemary, and thyme, or thyme and tarragon. So that's kind of nice when you're looking to add flavor to your meals. Then you kind of can go to this as a resource to say, oh, you know, this, I do want some tarragon. Tarragon's one of my favorite herbs. And so if I'm putting in tarragon, I'm going to put in thyme with it because they pair well together. In fact, usually when I cook with tarragon, I always cook with thyme. And that's kind of funny that I just saw that. But anyway, then she has this fantastic section here that has seasoned blends. And I don't know how many of you have run out of like maybe taco sauce. You know, the seasoning packets in your cabinet, you don't have any. Well, she has the taco seasoning that that has the same ingredients or similar to, maybe even it tastes better. So you don't have the taco seasoning packet, but you have chili powder, you have cumin, you have sugar, you have garlic powder. All of these ingredients you probably have in your herb cabinet or your seasoning cabinet. And she gives you all the ratios of everything you need to put in those. And then you have your taco seasoning. So she has a ton of those. Fajita seasoning, steak seasoning, Southwest seasoning. I mean, she just has them all. And then she has fantastic substitute section. I mean, this book, I could go on and on about this book. But anyway, pick this up on Amazon. This is a fantastic book. So another one that I use is Taste of Home. Taste of Home is one of my, I love their recipes, so I use them. Okay, so there's some other ones here that I may or may not use, but those are some of my favorites. So the next thing I want to talk about is inventory, meaning pantry inventory, freezer inventory, refrigerator inventory. So a lot of people think that they don't have the ingredients, or so they go out and buy them. Well, really, they already had them in their pantry or refrigerator, freezer, whatever. And so now they have two of them, and then and so on. So in the past, I haven't really taken an inventory. I just would go look to do my meal planning. I would go look in my freezer and see what I had, and I would say, okay, that sounds good, whatever. But I have actually taken the time to take inventory of my freezer. I was quite surprised at how much I actually had in my freezer. And I'm gonna say it took me about a half an hour to take inventory of my freezer. And then my pantry, I'm gonna tell you it took me maybe close to an hour, because if you saw my pantry, and maybe someday I'll do a tour of my pantry, my nieces and nephews call it the grocery store. But anyway, I have so much stuff in there, it's insane. But it's organized. I will tell you, it's organized. I'm an organizer. But I couldn't believe how much stuff I actually had when I took inventory. So let me show you the sheets that I used to take inventory. This is called Freezer Inventory, and I'm gonna tell you that I pulled this resource from the Budget Moms Free Resource Library. So if you like this setup, head over to her website, thebudgetmom.com, and she has these, she has freezer, she has pantry, and she has refrigerator. I'm gonna tell you that I made these forms work, but they're not really ideal for me. I'm using them because that's all I have. I'm in the process or the beginning stages of designing my own that work for me. But if these work for you, great. They're a great starter for me. Also, I chose not to do the refrigerator inventory because I really don't have a lot in my fridge. So I can kind of just take a glance at things that are unused in there, any kind of sauces. For example, I have Western French dressing that I use for taco salad in there. I know that I'm probably gonna need to use that up in the next few weeks. So I would just look in my fridge and see that I had that, and then I would make my meal plan work for that. So let me just go over the freezer inventory. I kind of separated mine into sections. pork, miscellaneous. Make-ahead meals are huge in my household. I have a section for make-ahead meals. Sides, I have beef, chicken, and seafood. I actually have a whole page of seafood, and I've separated them out into fresh caught and to frozen that I bought at the store. Mostly because I have been to Florida a couple of different times, and I'm scheduled to go back in October, and I buy from their fish shop there and bring it home, and they're fresh. It's fresh there, and so I bring it home and freeze it so that I can have as fresh as possible instead of just the store-bought and frozen. So I have those two separate categories. So let's go ahead and let me show you how I go ahead and start my actual meal planning process. So I have this book called The Meal Planner, just a tablet of paper. I'm actually in the beginning stages of making and creating and designing my own meal planning book. And so I'll keep you abreast of that as we go along. As it gets closer and closer, I'll show you maybe some sneak peeks of that. So the first thing that I do is I look at my last week. So my last week, the very last week that I did this, and keep in mind I had surgery last week. So this is, you guys, this is exactly why I do it this way. I had surgery last week, and last week, I think I had surgery on Friday, and I had this whole week planned out. And I also have make-ahead meals that I was kind of using as a backup in case I didn't want to cook or I couldn't cook, I wasn't feeling up to it or what have you. So if you look here, I only made 2 things off this, my meal plan last week, only 2. And, but I have the ingredients for all of these. And so when I go to make it for this coming week, I'm going to utilize what I already have written down here. And that's going to become part of my plan for the next week, especially if it's something that I need to use up. So, chicken noodle soup or white chicken chili. The reason that is on my meal plan list is because I have some homemade canned bone broth that I made, and I had 2 jars that did not seal. And so I have to use them within 2 weeks. And to use them, I need to make some kind of soup with them to utilize the whole amount. So that's what I chose. That's why I chose that item. Chicken salad, that's really like a grilled chicken house type salad. Baked spaghetti. I have a garden, I have a vegetable garden, and so I have zucchini out there that I've picked and it needs to get eaten. So I'm actually gonna try something new. I have a really fantastic baked spaghetti recipe that I use, but I'm gonna try to do baked spaghetti using zoodles. I've never done that before, but I'm gonna try it because I have zucchini that needs to be used. Broccoli flounder bake. This has actually been on my list, my meal planning list, for about a month. I want to make this so bad. It's a new recipe, but I just, for whatever reason, things have come up and I haven't made it. And then I like to have always on my list a recipe to try that I've never made before. And for me, it's cinnamon roasted butternut squash soup. And I'm actually going to be doing a video on that as well. Here's the simple thing. This is how simple it really is to do a meal planning. I have no Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday on here. I have nothing like that on here. All I have is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 meals. I gotta be honest with you. As much as I love to cook, I can't remember the last time I actually have cooked 7 days in a row. I couldn't tell you the last time I did that. So I am not gonna do, Sunday we are having veggie soup, and Monday we're gonna have stuffed green peppers, And Wednesday, chicken noodle soup. I am not gonna do that. That would stress me out. I have to build in a plan for flexibility, a plan for changes, a plan. Like, I had surgery. Now, I knew I was having surgery, but I didn't really put that in there. I went ahead and planned every day, but as you see, I only did 6 days, not 7. But anyway, so if there's a day where just simply you don't feel like cooking, you do not feel like cooking, that's okay. Maybe you eat out. Maybe you pull from your make-ahead meals. Maybe you have a frozen pizza in the freezer. You have another plan for what you're going to eat. Maybe you have a sandwich out of the fridge. I don't know. But you aren't forced to cook 7 days a week. And this makes it very simple for flexibility and changes that happen on any given day. So as you see, last week, I only cooked 2 days. Isn't that crazy? I know that we had veggie soup 2 days, so we ate leftovers, and I also froze 3 containers of make-ahead meals of veggie soup for the future, and that's in my freezer. And that is on my freezer inventory. Let's see, what did I put? Where did I put it? Miscellaneous maybe? I don't know. Oh, my make-ahead meals. Veggie soup, put it right here, veggie soup. And I think I put 3 little slashes to show that I have 3 of them in there. And when I use one, I will put it, it'll look like an X. So like it does right here. So that's what I did with the veggie soup. Stuffed green peppers, we had those as a leftover as well. So really, these 2 meals covered 4 days. So it really doesn't have to be that difficult. And it can be fun. I just find it therapeutic. I make it therapeutic. I want it to be fun. I want it to be relaxing and not stressful. So here we go. I'm gonna pick a color, I don't know. I'm gonna pick this green. And I'm gonna write week of August 2nd. And that's a Sunday. That means my week is starting on a Sunday, so I'm going to go ahead and start it on a Sunday. Just looks like that. And I'm going to go ahead and pick some things. I'm going to pull some things over from last week, and I'm going to pick some new things, and then I'll come right back and show you my end result of my meal planning week. Okay, so here is my menu for the week. I, again, only have 6 items. I think there's gonna be a day I probably don't cook. So this is what I came up with. I pulled the baked spaghetti, the broccoli flounder bake over, and the chicken noodle soup over. And I just pulled over the sides that I had going with it on the back page. This is still something new I haven't tried. And this is a new one. And so let me talk about why I came up with this particular recipe. My husband and I went on a trip to Lake Michigan. Trying to think of what it's called, having a mind blank. I went on a fishing trip anyway, and we caught a bunch of lake trout. And I have a feeling that this recipe is actually for a different kind of trout, like maybe the meandering, you know, like the rainbow trout and that kind of stuff, but I'm gonna use it for lake trout. I'm gonna use this recipe for lake trout because that's what I have. And it sounds like a really good recipe. So I needed to use that up, so that's what I came up with. And my sides, I have cauliflower rice in my freezer, and I have canned green beans. I don't have to buy anything. I haven't looked at the actual recipe on the ingredients yet. But here, lasagna, I know from my pantry that I have lasagna noodles, 2 of them that are open that I need to use up before they go bad. So I'm gonna go ahead and make some lasagna. I also know that in my freezer, because I took inventory, that in my freezer, in my make-ahead meals, I actually already have some lasagna sauce, so I really don't even need to buy any ingredients for the sauce making part. So I'm gonna pull that out, defrost it, and use that as part of my menu. And then I'm gonna have some garlic toast with that. Lasagna is a heavy meal. I don't really like anything with it except for garlic toast, so I'm not gonna put any other sides with it. Another thing that I have in my freezer is a container of just ravioli. I'm not exactly sure what kind the ravioli is, so I don't have a recipe yet. I think I'm gonna have to go on Pinterest and look up a ravioli recipe for that, and I will do that. And that's another one of my resources that I use is my Pinterest page for recipes. So I'll do that. I looked in all these books that I have here on the table, and none of them contained any ravioli recipes, so I'll just go to Pinterest, not a big deal. And I have summer squash in my garden that will be coming due, so when that comes due, or when I pick it, that'll probably decide when I make the ravioli. And then I have corn on the cob on the garden that's coming, ripening, and gonna be due to harvest, so that'll all determine when I make that ravioli. So those are my menu items. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to create my grocery list based on these meals that I have set up for this coming week. So I'm gonna go ahead and look at all the recipes and come up with my ingredients, and I'll be right back. So here's my grocery list for the week. Is this not crazy? I have a vegetable garden, so I have a lot of these ingredients. Let me just go over. I have canned pinto beans. I have cornbread. I have cornmeal, and I have the Jiffy box mix, so I can choose which one I want to make. I do need to pick up some salad dress or some lettuce, some salad mix, so I'm going to write that down. I just realized I missed that. I already have the cauliflower rice. I have canned green beans. I do have garlic toast. I have summer squash in my garden. I have corn in my garden. Really, I can't believe this. I don't know. When you look at these ingredients, I'm just going to go on the high side, and I'm going to say 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I'm going to say 20. I'm going to say $30 is all I'm going to spend at the grocery store on my groceries this week. In the past, I have not done my pantry inventory or my freezer inventory, and I did go through the trouble to do that, and I'm really glad that I did. I actually think what I will do in my refrigerator inventory. I'm going to do that. I've decided after this meal planning process, I'm going to do that, but it's going to be very small, meaning that when I was looking to see if I needed cottage cheese and ricotta cheese, I was looking for both of those. I actually had to get up and go to my fridge and look, and had I had that on that piece of paper, I wouldn't have had to get up. So for that, I think I will do my freezer or my refrigerator inventory. It'll be very small, one page. Also, what I'm working on is my canning inventory. I have a huge canning section in my basement, and so I'm working on getting that inventoried to find out what I have. I usually just kind of take a quick look in the spring to see, before I plant my garden, to see what I want to can this year, because I actually plant to preserve is what I call it, plant to preserve. So what I plant in my garden in the summer is not only just for using directly to my table, it's actually planting to preserve on my canning shelf so that my groceries can be less in the winter months as well. So that's it, everyone. That's my easy way of planning my meal plans and saving on my grocery bill and eliminating stress of what I'm going to cook on a daily basis. Because actually what I do with this, when I'm having coffee with my husband, I say, okay, babe, this is what's on the list. This is what's left on the list for the week. What do you want for supper tonight? What are you feeling for supper tonight? And he'll say, what's on the list? And I'll say, well, let's see, white chicken chili, grilled vegetable stuffed trout, lasagna, or ravioli. I feel like I have an Italian theme this week. I have like 1, 2, 3, at least 3 things that are Italian. But anyway, he'll give me what he feels like. I like to have him decide most days what he feels like eating that night, because I'm pretty good with eating whatever, and then he has a say in the matter. So I get a say in what goes on this page. He gets a say on what day I cook what's on the page. So anyway, thank you all for watching my video on how to meal plan and make it easy in your everyday lives. And if you liked what you saw today, please share my video, comment, and like.